At the risk of sounding old and crotchety, when I first started podcasting, it was a lot easier. All I needed was a microphone and a Skype connection and somebody to talk to. I still had to create a good interview, but something that separated the good podcasters from the bad back then was basically audio quality. Today, things are a lot more complicated. We have lots of different things flying around our head, like Spotify is going to be on Netflix, and do I need a video podcast? What about all the AI slop? How will people trust me? All of these things are factoring into whether or not we can have a good podcast in 2026 and beyond. So today, I am going to tell you everything you need to plan a good podcast in 2026. Hey everybody, my name's Joe Casabona. I'm the evangelist here at RSS.com, and we love helping podcasters. I've been podcasting for 13 years now, and I have seen it all. But this year, it's getting bigger, crazier, whatever adjective you want to use, because AI tools are maturing and moving faster than ever. Spotify is apparently making deals with Netflix to have their podcasts on Netflix. And so the question of video is getting even bigger. So let's dive into what exactly we need to be doing to properly plan our podcast, what to think about, and how to set smart goals in 2026. The first place I want to start is with AI slop. AI slop is a term that's gotten very popular this year. And I really think that Sora 2 has really pushed us into an era of really believable AI slop. And AI slop is degrading podcasts. In fact, not too long ago, earlier this year, The Hollywood Reporter talked about a company called Inception Point AI that is releasing 3,000 episodes a week, and they are completely AI generated. They are flooding the zone with garbage content, and they will tell you that you're a Luddite, that you are not embracing technology. But what they aren't realizing is they are missing the point of podcasting. Podcasting is not just putting out as much audio content as possible. It's not doing it as fast as possible. We start podcasts to help people, to entertain people. And up until now, audiences have trusted podcasters more than any other media. So what they're doing, flooding the zone, doing things faster, we need a reminder that faster isn't better. Faster is just faster. Nobody has eaten a microwaved meal and said, wow, this is the best meal I've ever had. They're saying, I needed something fast, and a microwavable meal is exactly that. Do you want to be the microwavable meal of podcasting, or do you want to help and entertain and gain trust? We can use AI to build trust. So I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying, which is don't use AI. I'm not saying that. I'm using AI to edit this video. I use AI for my podcast, but what I don't use AI for, what I don't think podcasters in 2026 should use AI for, is coming up with the actual content, writing the actual content, letting it fully edit our episodes, or generating the audio, because then you're just completely missing the point of podcasting. But we can use AI to help us build trust. AI is a tool. Power tools don't build for us. They help us build better, more efficiently. They allow us to do more even if we have less time. You cannot tell a buzzsaw to build the house with the wood it's cutting. You can just tell it to help me cut the wood I need. You can't tell a nail gun to punch the nails in the wood for you. You can just hold it straight so it can punch the nails a lot faster than you would with a hammer, or sometimes, in my case, a screwdriver when I couldn't find my hammer. Using the right tool for the right job helps us be better at our craft. Here's how you can use AI without the slop. And this is really my first piece of advice for when you're planning your podcast in 2026. Focus on the craft and let AI do this stuff for you. Let it filter email pitches, because I know we're all getting terrible guest pitches. If you don't already have a podcast, you will start getting garbage AI generated pitches that all sound the same, that all end with "sent from my iPhone," even though everyone knows it's not. Let AI help you schedule and email guests. Let it do the initial research, surface some sources, find the basics, and then verify that information. Because research is time intensive, but it makes your episodes better. And if you can use a tool to help you do better research, you will have a better podcast. Use it for creating starting points for clips. Tools like Riverside and Opus Clip are getting really good at this. As I record this, Riverside even rates how well it thinks a clip will do on social media. But also, all of these tools give you the ability to edit those clips. And so in a lot of cases, I'll find like, oh, this ended abruptly, or it didn't quite make the point I wanted. It could be a little tighter, but I didn't have to do most of it. I could take what it gave me and adjust, which means that I am able to put more content out on social media and promote the show more without spending all of my time creating clips. You can also have it highlight takeaways, right? I've stopped taking notes during my interviews because now I do trust AI to take good notes and let me know the main points of the podcast. That happened this year. And as we move into 2026, it's going to get better. So let it highlight the takeaways. What are the things you really talked about? Let it offer ideas for titles and descriptions. We need to optimize for both of those things now. Using AI to come up with ideas for titles and descriptions to help our episodes get found, that's a big game changer. You can also have it show you potential edit points in your episodes. I'm not saying let it edit for you, because this is something else that a lot of these tools do now. They'll edit everything for you and you just export. Don't do that. Instead, give it the transcript and say, be aggressive. This is what the episode's about. Where can I edit to make this episode tighter? And the reason I say be aggressive is it'll give you a lot, and then you get to choose what to keep and what not to keep. Keep the stuff that makes you inherently human, that will connect with your audience. Because again, that's what podcasting is. We can spend the extra time we gain building trust, which is why we would use these tools in the first place. So we can swap AI slop for building more trust with our audience, by creating deeply researched content that resonates, by engaging with your audience on platforms like YouTube and Spotify and social networks, by building relationships with guests and sponsors instead of just sending them an AI generated email saying, hey, come on my podcast, or hey, give me money, or hey, have me on your podcast. If we bring back the human element, that will help your show stand out. Bringing back the human element will help your show stand out, because then you're not one of the 3,000 episodes released in a week that is just AI slop. It shows that you care, and this is what audience wants. We are not at a content deficit, not by a long shot. And when people talk about using AI to make more content faster, that's the problem that they're trying to solve, that we're at some sort of content deficit. But the real deficit we're at is the trust deficit, is the engagement deficit. So as you plan your podcast going into 2026, be the person who builds the trust, who spends a little extra time on the craft, because you're going to be one of the active podcasters who shows that they care. So that's the first piece of advice. Second piece of advice has to do with this news. Earlier this year, it broke that Spotify is going to put some of their podcasts on Netflix. They talked about it in TechCrunch. They've partnered, and they will use Netflix for video podcast distribution. I have a couple of thoughts on this. What you could be thinking is, well, that means I need video. But what I thought was, if Spotify really believes in video and they believe that they are doing it the best and that it is the best way to deliver the podcast, why do they need Netflix as the discovery mechanism if they're killing it with video? That was my thought. And I think we saw a frenzy going from 2024 or even 2023 to now, because YouTube has been putting a lot of effort into podcasting. Spotify has been trying to be the name and face of video podcasting. And so it has a lot of us wondering, do we need video? Do we need to have video for our podcast? And like most things in life, I would say it depends, because Variety reported that HeadGum, a comedy podcast network, laid off 30% of its staff, including the head of video. This is a podcast network that laid off their head of video. If video was so important, you would think that that is a really valuable position to have. And I don't have any inside information here. I'm just going off of what I've read in this story. But companies don't lay off the people they need. They lay off the people that they feel they don't need. So I read the Spotify on Netflix news. I really wonder, is video something that all podcasters need? And I want to flip this idea, because I don't want you going off and getting all sorts of video equipment. I have a second camera set up over here to build extra sets. You can see all of this. I have another area where I shoot video as well. That's where I'm shooting my video. I'm not using that for my podcast. I have video on for my podcast because I like to see my guests. Sometimes I'll make clips, but I tried the dedicated YouTube video for a podcast interview experiment. I've tried the dedicated YouTube for solo podcast episodes. To me, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It might be different for you. It really depends on your audience and where they are and how they consume content, which brings me to the point I'm really trying to make. You do want to be everywhere and you want to add value. YouTube has become, at least in the United States, the number one place where American adults discover and listen to podcasts. But listen to. YouTube will say people are watching podcasts. There's other data that suggests that most people consume podcasts on YouTube by listening. You don't need to watch the podcast. So I would say be everywhere. Have a presence on YouTube in some way, shape, or form. At rss.com, we have PodViz, so you can get your episodes that are audio only on YouTube without using YouTube's RSS ingestion feature, which is just a static image. But you do want to be there. And part of it goes back to the SEO, GEO, right? YouTube is the second biggest search engine. And so having your content there would be good so people can find your content. So I say be everywhere, add value, don't overdo it if you don't need to. I say don't ask questions people aren't asking. And if people aren't saying, wow, I really wish I could see your podcast, maybe you don't need to add video to your podcast. If you want to be a YouTuber, that's a totally different thing. If you're looking at your podcast and you're planning for 2026 and you're saying, wow, I really need to add video, I would really consider that. If you already have an audience, ask your audience. If the video is a blocker for you, don't add video. Or if you're going to have your video on anyway and your editor can edit both at the same time, see if it's worth the experiment. But you want to add value wherever you are. The last thing I want to talk about here is don't forget the basics. We're spending all of this time thinking about AI and video and whatever else, whatever trend is happening. But podcasting has been around for a while now, 20 years, over 20 years. And the basics are still the thing that work best for us. We want to optimize for SEO and GEO. We want to create good artwork. We want to use transcripts, chapters, and episode artwork because that helps our episodes stand out. Transcripts adds more context for SEO and GEO purposes. Chapters do the same thing, especially on YouTube. If you make your chapters questions or helpful topics, it's more likely that those chapter markers will show up in a search. And you want to leverage monetization options like dynamic ads and value for value and affiliate links. But the biggest thing that you want to do is the thing that has always been great for podcasters: create trust. So the last thing I'm going to tell you to do here is something that I've told you in previous videos that is a mistake I see all the time, which is niche down, because a podcast for everyone is for no one. And that makes it sound generic. And in a world where everything is starting to sound more generic, you can stand out by talking directly to people and being specific and showing them that you're showing up. So as we go into 2026, whether or not you already have a podcast or you're launching one for the first time, I don't want you to think about AI slop and video podcasts. I don't want you to worry about Spotify putting podcasts on Netflix or whether or not we can trust what we hear on podcasts. Instead, I want you to think about these things: niching down, using video as it makes sense, worrying more about engagement than downloads, because engagement is a signal that your audience is there and they care. And using AI to help us, not to do for us. These are the things that will help you stand out in 2026. If you do these things, then I think you can set reasonable goals for yourself. Not worry about getting tens of thousands or millions of downloads, but connecting with your audience. Not being on YouTube or having video for the sake of having video, but creating content that adds value. And not just getting a bunch of downloads to get sponsors or get monetized, but connecting with an audience in a way that adds value for them so that you can make money other ways, like through memberships or value for value. That's it for this video. Let me know, what are your plans for podcasting in 2026? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear it. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Check out rss.com to learn everything that we can help you do with your podcast in 2026. And until next time, I'll see you out there.